欢迎回到东森城市新闻，继续观赏独家为您全程播出的中华民国前总统马英九在圣母大学亚洲领袖论坛上专题演讲，台湾在亚洲与世界的新角色。
Japan is still very much the target of mainland China's intense nationalism, for it seized Taiwan after the first Sino-Japanese War of 1895 and inflicted severe casualties on China during the Second Sino-Japanese War. Taiwan, therefore, in the eyes of the mainland, is the last piece of territory that mainland China needs to recover in its long struggle against imperialism. This is also the reason why the tiny 钓鱼台 Islands, or Senkaku Islands in the Japanese East China Sea, with an area of only 6 square kilometers, has stirred up so much national uproar in mainland China and in Taiwan for the last 40 years. Japan's collective mindset has been very different from that of mainland China over the last 60 years. Japan regards its war with China as part of the Pacific War, ultimately lost to the United States, not to China. Japan also believes that the cause of the Pacific War was a natural result of great power interaction, not its military aggressiveness. Therefore, it's only natural for Japan to pay respect at the Yasukuni War Shrine to the war crime perpetrators sentenced as war criminals by the 1946 International Military Tribunal of the Far East, with other military personnel who died in the war. Visits by senior Japanese politicians to the Yasukuni War Shrine are a constant reminder to mainlanders, to mainland China and Taiwan, that Japan has never been remorseful about its war deeds in China. In a similar vein, the Japanese government has not yet formally apologized to the so-called comfort women, the military sexual slaves as defined by the United Nations Human Rights Commission in January 1996. In Taiwan, only 3 comfort women are still alive. I have personally helped them in a variety of ways over the past 20 years. I invite them to the presidential office for tea or for lunch and visit their homes just to show my strong support. I hope justice won't come too late for them. Taiwan's social psychology, at least for a significant portion of its population, has been impacted by both its Chinese lineage and Japanese colonial experience. Mainland China is by and large regarded as both a national security threat and a rising commercial opportunity. Japan is regarded as a friendly country despite the past atrocities it committed during Taiwan's colonial era. Here, the respective histories of China, Japan, and Taiwan converge to shape Taiwan's identity politics, and in turn, Taiwan stands toward its powerful neighbors. Thirdly, it's important to know yourself, and at the same time, knowing your rivals and friends is also critical. This is the International Relations 101, the very essence of realism. In 2000, when former President Chen Shui-bian came to power, Taiwan's GDP was about 27% of that of mainland China's. By 2008, when I was first elected, the ratio was down to 9%. By 2016, Taiwan's GDP is projected to be only 5% of mainland China's. We know from the past experience that when mainland China grows fast, Taiwan grows as well, but at a lower pace. And when mainland China slows down, Taiwan decelerates at a faster clip. This means at the top. That means that the gap between the two entities' economic size will only widen as time goes by. This possesses a host of challenges to Taiwan in terms of commerce, mainland China's fast-growing market power, and the brand of national capitalism, emphasizing national champion companies over small and medium-sized enterprises, could whittle away at the competitiveness of Taiwan's companies. In terms of security, mainland China's increasing resources have buoyed its military procurement, which is eclipsing Taiwan's military preparedness and tilting the overall military balance in East Asia. Mainland China also has the financial wherewithal to influence other countries' foreign policies in East Asia. The balance of power between the United States and mainland China is frequently assessed, and so is the balance of will between the two great powers when it comes to Taiwan. In broad terms, Taiwan has only two grand strategies to choose from, each with its own risk. Rapprochement and confrontation. I myself adhere to realpolitik thinking and chose rapprochement. And under the rubric of the 1992 consensus, one China respective interpretation, in contrast with those of my predecessors and my successor. Simply put, we seek to maintain a peaceful relationship with mainland China, a friendly relationship with Japan, and a close relationship with the US. I will explain below what I mean by peaceful, friendly, and close. Let me begin with mainland China. In my inaugural address on May 20th, 2008, I announced my new position of maintaining the status quo in the Taiwan Strait with a policy of no unification, no independence, and no use of force under the framework of the Republic of China Constitution. No unification means no unification talks with mainland China during my term of office. No independence means no support for the Taiwan independence movement. No use of force is, of course, self-explanatory. The objective was to facilitate the peaceful development of cross-strait relations on the basis of the 92 consensus, which state that both sides of the Taiwan Strait adhere to the one China policy, but acknowledge that either may express its own interpretation through separate oral statements. This is generally referred to as one China respective interpretations. With this new policy in place, we were able to sign 23 agreements with mainland China in the last 8 years, covering trade, travel, agricultural, health, judicial, educational, financial, scientific, and nuclear matters. Mainland Chinese visitors to Taiwan rose to 4 million last year, up 14 times compared to the year before I took office, while mainland Chinese students rose to 50 times over the same period to 42,000. The number of Taiwan visitors to the Chinese mainland has remained constant at around 5 million. High officials from the two sides met and called each other by their official titles, a move unprecedented in history. Culminating in the meeting of mainland Chinese leader Xi Jinping and myself in Singapore a year ago on November the 7th, both of us formally reconfirmed the fundamental role of the 1992 consensus, namely one China respective interpretations, agreed to reduce hostilities between us and expand and deepen cross-strait interchange in all aspects. Cross relations are at their best in 66 years, and the Taiwan Strait, which used to be a bloody battlefield, has become a boulevard of peace and prosperity. Secondly, I will talk about the United States. Taiwan's relations with the US were at their lowest point before I took office. So the first thing I did was to restore bilateral high-level trade between the two sides through a policy of low-key and surprise-fee actions. The U.S. continued to honor its commitment under the 1979 Taiwan Relations Act by selling Taiwan $20.1 billion worth of defensive military hardware in 8 years, the highest figure in 2 decades, far exceeding sales under previous presidents. In 2012, the U.S. included Taiwan in its visa waiver program. Taiwan is the only one among the 38 members of the program that have formal diplomatic relations with the U.S. So this decision was enthusiastically welcomed by the people of Taiwan. On the other hand, as you know, Taiwan visitors to the U.S. increased by at least 40% as a result. As you know, Taiwan tourists not only admire the American way of life, they are also very serious shoppers. They definitely would contribute to the reduction of the American trade deficit with Taiwan. The U.S. strongly welcomes rapprochement between Taiwan and mainland China. Susan Thornton, Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary of the U.S. State Department, said in May last year that Taiwan-U.S. relations were at their best ever. She noted that this is largely due to the stable management of cross-strait relations. Obviously, she's not the only one official in the State Department and beyond who said the same thing.
在中华民国前总统马英九详细说明为何采用9·2共识一中各表的道路，以及达到美中台三方前所未见的友好关系之后，稍后回来，马英九还将会继续说明台湾如何成为文化交流的推动者与中华文化的传承者。也欢迎观众朋友持续锁定。